Divorce is often seen as the end of the road, but sometimes it becomes a turning point, one that brings deep regret. These stories highlight women who thought they were walking into freedom but discovered they were walking away from the very person who loved them most. Story 1. Emily from Dallas, Texas. Emily had been married to Mark for 8 years. Mark was a software engineer, quiet and dependable, the kind of man who brought her coffee every morning and kissed her forehead before leaving for work. But Emily wanted more excitement. She compared her marriage to the lives of her friends, who seemed to be traveling constantly, posting pictures with adventurous partners. Mark wasn't flashy. He preferred Friday movie nights at home, home-cooked meals, and backyard barbecues. Slowly, Emily started resenting the simplicity of their life. She convinced herself that Mark was holding her back. One evening, after yet another small disagreement about travel plans, she declared, "I want a divorce. I can't keep living like this." Mark didn't argue. He just looked at her with eyes full of pain, nodded slowly, and said, "If that's what you want, I'll give it to you." Months passed. Emily moved into a downtown apartment, thinking she would finally find excitement. But the silence of her new place was deafening. Her friends were busy with their own lives. The men she met were charming at first, but shallow and unreliable. Meanwhile, she occasionally saw updates of Mark on social media. He had joined a local hiking club, smiling with new friends, even traveling without her. One day, Emily ran into him at a coffee shop. He looked healthier, happier. When she tried to start a conversation, he smiled politely but kept it short. That's when it hit her. She had traded loyalty and love for an illusion. And Mark had moved on. Emily regretted the divorce more than anything else she had done in her life. Story 2. Sarah from Chicago, Illinois. Sarah and David had been high school sweethearts. They built a life together in Chicago. David worked as a firefighter, Sarah as a teacher. They had 2 kids and a modest home. But as the years passed, Sarah began to feel unappreciated. David was always exhausted from long shifts. He wasn't the romantic boyfriend he used to be. On weekends, instead of taking her out, he preferred sleeping in or catching up on chores. Her co-workers often told stories about their husbands surprising them with weekend getaways or flowers. Sarah began to think David had stopped loving her. One night, in frustration, she told him, "I don't think this is working anymore. I want out." David was stunned. He tried to fight for the marriage, but Sarah had made up her mind. Within 6 months, they were divorced. But once David left, Sarah began to notice the little things she had overlooked. The way he always kept her car full of gas. How he fixed things around the house without her asking. How he put aside money for their kids' college fund. Now, she had to do everything herself. The loneliness was overwhelming. Their children missed him terribly. Sarah tried dating again, but no one matched David's steadiness and quiet love. When she realized what she had lost, it was too late. David had accepted the divorce and was slowly building a new life without her. Sarah regretted the day she walked out more than anything in her life. Story 3. Jessica from Los Angeles, California. Jessica was married to Ryan, a kind-hearted man who ran a small family-owned restaurant. He wasn't wealthy, but he adored Jessica and supported all her dreams. But Jessica got swept away by the glamorous lifestyle of Los Angeles. Many of her friends were married to wealthy men who bought them luxury cars and diamond jewelry. She wanted that too. Ryan, however, was practical. "We can't live like that, Jess. We have bills, a future to plan for. But I promise, I'll give you everything I can." Jessica wasn't satisfied. She filed for divorce, convinced she deserved more. After the split, she began dating men who seemed exciting and wealthy. But soon she realized their attention came with conditions. They weren't interested in commitment, only temporary thrills. Meanwhile, Ryan's restaurant started gaining popularity. He appeared in a local magazine as one of the top chefs in the city. Jessica saw pictures of him smiling with a new girlfriend by his side, a woman who looked genuinely happy to be with him. For the first time, Jessica felt the crushing weight of regret. She had left the man who truly loved her for a lifestyle that turned out to be empty. Story 4. Megan from New York City, New York. Megan was a lawyer in Manhattan, ambitious and career-driven. Her husband, Daniel, was a nurse, compassionate, gentle, but not as ambitious as her colleagues. Megan began to feel embarrassed introducing Daniel at work events. Her co-workers' partners were executives, bankers, or entrepreneurs. Compared to them, Daniel seemed ordinary. One night, after a heated argument, Megan told him she wanted a divorce. "I need someone who matches my drive," she said coldly. Daniel left quietly, broken-hearted. Months later, Megan realized her mistake. The men she met after Daniel weren't kind like him. They were competitive, self-absorbed, and uninterested in building a real relationship. One evening, Megan ended up in the ER after fainting from exhaustion at work. And guess who she saw? Daniel, the nurse assigned to her. He treated her with the same care and patience he always had. But when she tried to talk to him afterward, he was polite but distant. Megan realized she had given up a man who truly cared for her, just because she let her pride get in the way. Story 5. Rachel from Denver, Colorado. Rachel and Michael had been married for 10 years. Michael was a carpenter who built custom furniture. Rachel admired his work at first, but later, she wanted more financial stability. She compared him to her friends' husbands who worked corporate jobs, bringing home larger paychecks. She started feeling resentful that Michael chose passion over money. Eventually, she filed for divorce, telling herself she deserved someone more successful. A few years later, Michael's business blew up after one of his pieces went viral online. He was featured in magazines, started shipping furniture nationwide, and built a thriving company. Rachel, meanwhile, was stuck in unfulfilling relationships, always chasing stability but never finding real happiness. When she saw Michael again, he was with his new wife and their baby. He looked genuinely joyful, the kind of happiness Rachel had once shared with him. She walked away in tears, realizing she had abandoned a man who loved her deeply, only to chase an illusion. Closing reflection. Each of these women believed they were walking away from disappointment, but what they didn't realize was that they were walking away from devotion, loyalty, and true love. Regret is a heavy burden, and sometimes, once the papers are signed and the door is closed, it's too late to go back. If there's a lesson in these stories, it's this: appreciate the quiet love, the daily devotion, and the simple moments. Because once it's gone, no amount of regret can bring it back.